Hello and thanks for tuning in to this edition of Whether or Not. We have a great show lined up for you this week. Sydney Daniel has a feature on sunscreen that you'll want to see before going out in the heat of the day. And of course, Jackie Lair is back to let us know if the cloudy, wet weather we've had this week will continue into the weekend. All this plus more, Whether or Not, starts right now. Hello everyone, hope your first week in June is going well. I'm your host, Brandon Orr.
And I'm your forecaster, Jackie Lair.
And Jackie, speaking of the first week in June, hurricane season is no longer approaching, but it's already here. And Jackie, we had 2 named storms so far in the Atlantic this season, fairly unheard of for a hurricane season. If I remember correctly, they were both off the southeast coast, is that right?
Yes, they were, and one was named Alberto, and the other one was named Beryl.
Okay, well, is there anything else in the Atlantic right now that we are currently watching?
Currently, right now, the Atlantic is very quiet at this time, which isn't unusual for this time of year, considering that the peak of the hurricane season isn't until September. But speaking of the tropics, we are going to be seeing more in the way of tropical weather as we go into the weekend, not in the way of hurricanes, but more in the way of more warmth for this weekend.
Okay, well, we'll get more on your forecast in just a bit, but for now, let's turn it over to Nature in the News. United States officials are urging the public to text and not call when the next disaster strikes. Craig Fugate, head of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, told reporters that they are strongly suggesting that people use text messaging and social media to communicate and use your phone calls for actual emergencies. Not only will your messages get across faster as text, but this will prevent cell phone towers from getting bogged down from too many calls being placed at once. During the Mid-Atlantic earthquake that occurred last year in August, many people in the region, including those here in central Pennsylvania, could not dial out from their cell phones as too many calls placed at once overloaded the cell phone towers. Fugate also suggests having a way to charge your communication devices in case of a power outage, such as a car charger.
As Brandon mentioned earlier, social media websites are now being used as vital tools in the flow of storm information. As Tropical Storm Beryl struck northeast Florida last week, the National Weather Service in Jacksonville provided updates on their Facebook page to thousands of residents. Even the local Red Cross got involved on Facebook by providing critical information, answering questions, and connecting people with resources. Locally, the National Weather Service in State College, the Center Region Emergency Management, and the American Red Cross of Central Pennsylvania all have Facebook pages that will provide constant critical updates during emergencies to local residents. We have posted the links to all 3 pages to our website. Just Google search Penn State Whether or Not and you will find the link to our website.
While the United States experienced one of the deadliest years for tornadoes in 2011, the latest tornado news is something worth celebrating. There have been no tornado deaths in the United States during the month of May. It is the first time this has happened since 2005, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. An early estimate of the tornado count is 122 and could possibly drop as scientists weed out duplicate tornado sightings. Compare that to last year, where 326 tornadoes ripped through the country, killing 178 people. Harold Brooks, a researcher at the National Severe Storms Laboratory, says a typical May sees close to about 300 tornadoes.
In other tornado news, 61 years ago, on June 8, 1951, a tornado struck the small town of Corn, Oklahoma, and we saw the first display of nature's true power in the United States on film. A resident of Corn, John Gosson, filmed the tornado on his motion picture camera. Although it is the first motion picture of a tornado in the United States, an earlier tornado was captured on film in Cuba during the 1930s. With the advanced technology of 2012, it is hard not to capture tornadoes on film. Most people have cell phones with them at all times, many of which come with high-definition cameras that record videos. Homes, businesses, and even our nation's highways have become equipped with video surveillance equipment that record these events. This home security camera recorded an EF4 tornado that struck West Liberty, Kentucky a few months ago. The town is still recovering.
Spectators gathered at Tussey Mountain Tuesday afternoon to make sure they caught the sight of the rare transit of Venus. The planet passed in front of the sun, allowing it to become visible as a black dot, which will not occur again for another 105 years. Members of the Central Pennsylvania Observers Club set up telescopes and handed out protective glasses to spectators. At least 50 people took to the grassy slopes of Tussey Mountain ski area to view the astronomical event. The Central Pennsylvania Observers Club will hold a Skywatchers event this Friday, June the 8th from 9:30 to 11 o'clock at night at Tudick Park, which is off of Martin Street and Herman Drive in Ferguson Township. Coming up next is Jackie Lair with the weekend forecast, including the stargazing conditions for the Skywatchers event this Friday.
Thanks, Brandon. And yes, we are going to be seeing some very nice conditions for any of you stargazers out there that are attending the Tudick Park event. But before I get to that, let's take a look at our weekend outlook on the map. Since we are seeing that jet stream being pushed up to the north, we were seeing that dip down into West Virginia and Virginia earlier in the week. That brought us those cooler temperatures and even that rain earlier in the week that we saw. But since that jet stream will be pushing up to the north, we're going to be seeing much warmer conditions ushering in to Pennsylvania, which is always nice to hear, and plus not much in the way of rain. So that's always nice to hear. So for your Friday afternoon outlook, very nice, 78 degrees for the temperature, and then mostly sunny conditions, so perfect day for your Friday. And then for Friday overnight, it's going to be another nice night, 60 degrees with mostly clear skies, so perfect night to go stargazing. Might be see some clouds, but not much in the way of clouds, so perfect night for stargazing, and you won't even need your jacket as well. Then for Saturday, it's going to be very nice, 79 degrees, a little bit warmer with partly cloudy conditions, so a little bit more in the way of clouds than, say, Friday afternoon. Then as we take a look at Saturday night, another nice night, 62 degrees, mix of stars and clouds, so a little bit more in the way of clouds than, say, Friday night. So Friday night will probably be the best night for stargazing. Then for Sunday, another nice day, even warmer, 81 degrees with more sun than clouds. So definitely enjoy the weekend. But up next, we have our Weather Whiz Quiz, and then we have Sydney Daniel with her feature on the importance of sunscreen, which you will need for this weekend.
With the arrival of June and the unofficial start of summer, I thought I might head out by the pool and catch some sun. Now I have my bag, I have my swimsuit, I have my towel, but I know I'm forgetting something. Oh, of course, sunscreen. How could I forget the one item that ensures summer fun, sun protection, and the prevention of melanoma skin cancer? Well, if you're anything like me, chances are you'll be spending a lot of time in the sun this summer. But before you do, you might want to take some notes and apply that SPF.
SPF, or sun protection factor, is a number such as 15, 30, or 45 that indicates the degree of which sunburn protection is provided by sunscreens. But why do we need protection from the sun? It is true that a key nutrient, vitamin D, is produced by sunshine, but the sun also produces a type of radiation that damages the skin. I asked Dr. Neese of Penn State's Meteorology Department to evaluate a little on UV rays and the different types produced by the sun.
Ultraviolet radiation is, first of all, invisible radiation. If you think of radiation as traveling like a wave, ultraviolet radiation waves come at you at a slightly faster frequency or rate than the waves that create visible radiation. Now, the UVA waves come at you slightly slower than the UVB rays, so they're a little bit less intense than the UVB rays. However, most of the UVB rays never reach the ground. They're absorbed by the atmosphere, particularly the ozone layer. So in the end, we get a dose of both UVA and UVB rays here at the ground.
So with this dose we get from the sun, it is important to apply sunscreen that typically acts as a thin, bulletproof vest stopping UV photons before they can reach the skin and inflict damage. I asked Dr. Neese to specifically expand on each type of UV ray and their role in society.
Since UVB rays are the ones that were first known to increase the risk of skin cancer, sunscreens and the so-called SPF, or sun protection factor, is based on protecting you against UVB rays. The UVA rays are the tanning rays. They're the ones that primarily tan your skin, and for that reason, most tanning salons, tanning beds, use UVA radiation. It was only until recently that research has shown that the UVA rays also can increase your risk of skin cancer.
With the new fad of tanning salons and artificial tans, it is important to note that about 426 people in Pennsylvania die of melanoma every year. From 1975 to 2007, the melanoma death rate more than doubled among residents over the age of 50. Also, the rate of melanoma deaths among men is more than double the rate among women in Pennsylvania. And Monroe County has the highest melanoma death rate in Pennsylvania, 59% higher than the national average.
Hopefully with the information you now know about SPF, ultraviolet radiation and the types UVA and UVB and how they can cause melanoma skin cancer, you won't forget to apply your sunscreen. Well, I've got mine on, so I'm going to head out by the pool. Up next is Jackie with your extended forecast.
We started off this week with very dreary conditions, but as we go into the weekend, it's going to look like it's going to be very nice for this weekend. Starting out on Friday, we're going to have mostly sunny conditions, a high of 78, so a little bit above our high for this time of year. And as we go into the overnight hours, it's going to be very nice for overnight, 60 degrees and mostly clear skies. So if you are going out on Friday night, it's going to be very nice. You won't need your jacket at all. And as we go into Saturday, more in the way of clouds, but still we're going to have that sun peek through those clouds, a high of 79, and that low overnight will be around 62 degrees. And as we go into Sunday, probably the nicest day of the weekend, a high of 81 for your Sunday. So if you have a barbecue or a graduation party, that will probably be the nicest day of the weekend. As we look into our extended forecast into next week, we're going to see temperatures right around 85 degrees for your Monday. So we're going to have a warm start, but as we go into the rest of the week, it's going to get a little bit cooler than that, but still going to be above average for this time of year. We could be seeing some scattered thunderstorms in the middle of the week as well. So as we go into Wednesday and Thursday, the highs will be around 78 degrees. And then as we go into Friday, finally that sun returns and that high will be back around 80 degrees.
Thanks, Jackie. And you know, this past week we had lower temperatures set in, especially through the early part of the week. We got to turn the AC off. I even saw some windows open driving around the neighborhood. But it looks like once again coming up this weekend and into early on next week, we'll have to crank the AC back up. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Those windows will close and the AC will turn back on as those temperatures soar into 80 degrees as we go into the weekend. But that will be perfect conditions for any of your outdoor activities that you have, say graduation parties or even barbecues. But we have been experiencing those warmer conditions way back in the spring, and that brings us to our Weather Whiz quiz question for this week.
That's right, and in fact, Jackie, it's been so warm that State College had the warmest spring on record with an average temperature of 54.03 degrees Fahrenheit. It beats the old record of 53.27 degrees Fahrenheit set back in what year? Is the answer A, 1925, B, 1975, C, 2000, or D, 2010? And Jackie, the answer is D, 2010.
Indeed it is, and 2012 definitely set us apart from the other years, especially with those record high temperatures we saw back in March.
Right, and those temperatures not only had an effect on our heating bills, but on farmers as well, especially with those intermittent freezes in between all that warmth. But that's all the time we have here at Weather or Not for now. I'm your host, Brandon Orr.
And I'm your forecaster, Jackie Layer.
Have a great weekend.